Caitlin, is there a way to, on the window that we're seeing on Riverside, to see also like a fit to frame?
You want to see yourself?
It just helps to have context for...
This episode is about Luke's vanity.
Hey, let's... One episode is not enough.
Touche.
Of all the people,
podcast series we're about to launch into.
Of all the regular contributors to this podcast, I think Lynne may have the biggest knack for picking on people. I think so.
You think so?
Maybe. I mean, it's all lighthearted and fun. It's not taken the wrong way.
It's natural and it's comfortable. I mean, it's with people that she's comfortable with. You wouldn't do that with somebody you're not comfortable with.
I would not do that with her.
In fact, if she wasn't picking, then I'd be like, what's wrong?
I would not do that with... maybe it's being a little sister, growing up with a brother.
Yeah, probably so. Christmas also brings the opposite extreme for people who are missing loved ones, and so that's what we're devoting this episode to. We have a Seacoaster, Jill Forbes, who has a story of immense grief.
Then everything was a blur until you hear, we did everything we could. And I was like, cool, that's where we are. And there was one particular morning, I was on the floor in the shower, screaming every word you could possibly imagine. And I was just screaming, get me out of this valley. And for months I'd been doing this. So we stood in Home Depot and I sobbed. And I was like, I can't do this. And she was like, if you leave this place, you will not put a tree up. You will not get the tree.
Yeah.
So I bought the tree and I brought it home. And Micah was like, can we just put it up? It's a shot of joy, Mom. Can we just put it up? If I didn't already know the character of God, I would feel abandoned and lost and not like God was near to the brokenhearted. Like, even having walked with Jesus truly for 40 years, there were moments of this was our only option. This was it.
Even our guest today, Jill, I know a lot of times our goal is to help people not hurt. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
When you've gone through what she's gone through, it's not, it hurts. It is painful. Grief is devastating.
Okay, life is hard, but as you go through it, you won't always feel like this. Like, you will laugh again. You will find joy in things again, but then that pain will still be there somewhere and it'll just come up out of nowhere.
I thought, I'm going to say, I know your last name, but I'm going to say it, and then I don't want you to cut me any grace. I want you to basically say 100% or a little off, but Gakwad.
Yeah, like 30%.
30%? Really? All right, say it.
No, I'm kidding. I'd say
Gakwad.
You're probably 70% there. You got the last part, right?
Gayquad.
Closer.
So it's a long A sound.
It's just guy. It's like,
Guy.
you think of G-U-Y, guy.
Gaikwad. Ah,
Yep.
Gaikwad. I got to remember that.
Like Geico.
Yeah. like Geico.
Joey.
Yeah. Hey, let me just tell people. So we've got Roy joining us from. Is that your office at the Somerville campus?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, just real quick, I want to honor my buddy who, my gosh, is half of Seacoast Church now in the Somerville area, and
Stop it.
I think it's very noteworthy, and we don't talk about it enough. How many people you bring into the Somerville campus and then send them on their way, and you obviously miss the people not only as friends but also as quality ministers, and so you're doing good work, man. And it's part of the reason why I want to have you podcasting regularly, but you've got so much on your plate, you can't make the trip, weekly to podcast with us. So we'll take Roy remotely here and there. So thanks for joining us, my good buddy.
It's good to be with y'all today.
Yeah, man.
It is.
Were you going to say something?
Well, I was going to rag you a little bit. You have a way of butchering
after I
people's
just
names
said
on the
all that
podcast.
nice stuff about you.
Yeah.
You're going to retaliate with insults.
Yeah.
See, just like high school, man. Just
like what met Brianna a couple weeks back. You butchered her name. Like, you might want to practice. You might want to start practicing before we start recording.
That takes all the fun out of it, and then it gives people less to laugh about.
Did y'all hear that episode where he called Brianna? He tried Brianna's name. He called her McLeod.
McLeod?
I just said it. I just said it how it looked. But it is McLeod, but it doesn't look that way. Doesn't. Can people know what your real name is, or is that a secret?
And they can know what Lynne is actually on my birth certificate, so it's a real name too. But yes.
Do you know what her?
I feel like I know.
So Lynn's your middle name?
Lynne is.
Do you know what her first name is?
I do know this.
Roy, do you know?
I don't.
Sherelle.
And I was going to say I knew her.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Sherelle
Lynne.
Lynne.
And did you go by that for a significant part of your childhood?
Probably through elementary school.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
How do you spell it?
Sharelle.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, Merry Christmas.
It's Sherelle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Merry Christmas to everyone. And we have a long-standing tradition on the Seacoast podcast is just how it's a holly jolly season and people are often in a festive, uplifting mood. And they say the Christmas spirit and Christmas music and Christmas movies. Just like that's one extreme of a mood, Christmas also brings the opposite extreme for people who are missing loved ones. And so that's what we're devoting this episode to. We have a Seacoaster, Jill Forbes, who has a story of immense grief, and she agreed to tell her story for the purpose of speaking to folks who are super sad and maybe lonely and maybe even depressed during the holidays. So before we get into that, I actually did the research. Y'all, we have, for people who really get into Christmas, we have 8 Christmas episodes that people can go back and listen to. So you can just scroll on down and obviously just look for the December releases. We have 8 episodes. See if you have caught up. So Lynn's, is it safe to say, disassociation of Christmas is well documented, or your unique relationship with Christmas? It's not a disassociation.
Yeah, I don't think it's a disassociation.
Because you believe in the virgin birth and Jesus coming
Lynn's
to rescue
history.
men. Yeah. Lynn's history of not celebrating Christmas.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Lynn's like disassociation. And then Roy, you pretty much you love Christmas, right?
Love it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Me too. Luke, I thought it would be interesting because, first of all, I don't even know if you like Christmas because you haven't been involved in any of these Christmas discussions.
Or the virgin birth.
Right.
Are you disassociated with it?
See, there she goes. She can't just let it go. She can't let my poor choice of word lay. So, first of all,
I'm with her for that matter.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at with Christmas? Like 10 being, it's just the greatest. I love it. And then 1 being like, I just want to fast forward it.
8.
8? Okay, so you love Christmas.
Yeah, I love Christmas.
I got to know, so you were raised Christian, right?
Yep.
And you spent how many years of your life in India?
Gosh, I moved here in 2012, so mid-20s.
Okay.
Mid to late 20s.
I have no context for India. You would say it is a non-Christian nation. It's mostly Hindu, right?
Correct.
So what did it look like to be a practicing Christian celebrating Christmas in India, where that's not your normal surroundings? I'm assuming y'all are a part of a Christian church,
right?
So you had your community that celebrated Christmas.
Yep, for sure.
What did it look like, man?
India, constitutionally, is a secular nation, and so even though Hinduism is the majority religion, Christianity, Buddhism, Muslims, or Islam as a religion, and a bunch of others are minorities. Now, when you talk I'm going to make broad brush numbers, at 1.6 billion people, even a minority of, say, 5% is still
a lot of people.
Yeah. Is it up to 1.6 billion now?
Yes.
I remember learning how populated India and China was, and China was 1 billion, and India had not reached 1 billion.
Right.
So
now
it's 1.6.
India is the most populous nation on the planet.
Over China?
Yes.
Wow.
I think
I did not know that.
Either earlier this year or like sometime last year when that switch happened.
Wow.
Dang.
And so all that to say, yes, Christianity is a minority religion in India, but by numbers, it's not like it's not underground churches, and there are states and parts of those states where there's active persecution and you will have underground churches. But in general, I mean, having been colonized by the British, there are old architectural buildings and churches that still exist. Schools, the school that I went to, so it's not like it's hidden. It's very common for your best friend to be Muslim and your other best friend to be Hindu, and
for the most part, everybody's cool with it.
Everybody's cool with it. It's interesting that it's only like, which I don't know if that's global or not, but around election season and when politicians need to divide votes or figure out who they want to vote for them and things like that, is when they will incite violence or incite conversation about, oh well, that part, you shouldn't do this, that, or the other because it caters to a Muslim agenda or a Christian agenda or whatever it may be. And so they'll use religion to divide people. But in general, it's not it's like we went to church freely and like for Easter, we would do Palm Sunday. We would do like a march with palm branches and through the streets. And, and it was never like you're hiding or you're in fear of anything. Like it's just you're a Christian and you celebrate or you do something that is associated with your religion. Now, the larger known version of Christianity, probably at least what's depicted in movies through Bollywood or just otherwise, is probably more the Roman Catholic culture.
You got to give me context here, because at first, before you said Roman Catholic, I was thinking, are you talking Santa Claus, Rudolph, and all the fictitious side of Christmas? What do you mean when you say?
How Christians are portrayed in terms of like possibly praying to saints and possibly even some form of idol worship to figurines of Mary and So with that being the media version of Christianity in India, it's a little, to use your earlier term, disassociated from the reality of what it means to be Christian in India. Because there's plenty non-denominational churches like ours or Methodist churches. Like I grew up, my granddad was a Methodist reverend. My parents, both sides and their families grew up and attended that Methodist church. And so there's a pretty deep like theological and denominational base for various Christian groups. But in general, I mean, growing up was not any different. I think the weirdest part, which to this day is baffling to some of my friends back in India, is how my name, as a combination of my first name and last name, coexist. So Luke and Gaikwad are just unheard of. So they would always ask me, they're like, "What's your real name?" And I'm like, "My name is Luke. That's what my parents named me." And they're like, "But your last name is Hindu." And like, that was hard for people to grasp. To be like, how could you come from a state that has a very regional last name that is also associated with, just by that last name being common, being a Hindu last name, and you could have a Christian first name. And so that was always different. But my dad's name is Peter. My mom's name is Sarah. My mom's maiden name was Abraham. Maiden last name.
Let me ask.
My granddad was David. So
so
it was not uncommon for us to just have Christian biblical first names. And growing up in family gatherings where you prayed and you worshipped and you had somebody in the family who was a pastor give a message, and then you had a family gathering.
Yeah, I only have one other friend that I would say I actually know well, who is from India and Indian, and his name is the complete reversal. His first name is Shijo, and his last name is George. Let me ask you this.
I'm guessing he's Southern Indian.
Is he? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Real quick, do I have my facts straight that historically Thomas, the Apostle Thomas, is who evangelized India originally?
That's what's believed.
Let me ask you this: with schooling, first of all, did your family take part in the whole gift exchange? Like, did you rack up as a kid? So were your peers who weren't Christian ever envious? Did you go to like public schools where the religious affiliation was pretty mixed? They're like, dang, you're lucky, man. I wish I was a Christian and celebrated Christmas.
So I went to a British school, or what started as a British school, but wasn't anymore. And we celebrated or had Christmas break just like we have here. And so if you were not in school during Christmas, but when you got back, you talked to your friends about things that you got for Christmas. Having said that, I think relatively compared to today, we grew up very poor. And so, Christmas could have been anything from a new tie to maybe a pair of shoes.
Gotcha.
Or, something that also met a need, wasn't just a have fun with this type of a gift. I will say growing up, at least earlier years, getting new clothes for Christmas and Easter was a big thing. So we would go and pick out material and then go to the tailor and get measured and get, you had your new. So when you went to church on Christmas Sunday morning, or not Christmas Sunday, Christmas morning, whatever day of the week it was, you were dressed to the best and everybody had new clothes on. And that was a big thing.
Luke looks sharp, boy, right?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Is there, because I just even think about America and the Christmas trees everywhere and the decor. Is it like that in India among Christians? What does the novelty around it look like?
Decorating your house is, definitely a thing. Now, it's funny, my dad and then my sister and I would help my dad. We would decorate the house, but once those decorations went up, they didn't come down till after Easter.
Really?
Wow.
We just left it up because it was a lot of, not that it was a lot of work and we were like, we're going to leave it up for a month. But it was like, let's just keep this up. Like there's nobody telling us we need to take this down. And so whether you had, things in the living room or now the star probably came out from the window or, wherever it was, if it was outside the house, things like that. But whatever was in your living room just stayed up. And here's how my dad justified it.
The span of his life.
my mom and my sister both have birthdays in April. And so after their birthdays or on Easter time is when then all the decorations came down. And
gotcha.
It was very common for us to just put Christmas decorations up in, sometime in December, and then they were just up.
I appreciate that.
But then also,
this is exactly what I wanted.
You would make sweets, like home cooked goods, and that you would share with neighbors, and the neighbors would be looking forward to it. They'd be like, "Oh, great! There's a Christian in the neighborhood who's gonna be making, whose family is going to be making and distributing specific sweets that are." Okay, yeah, the Christians do this, and then we share it with neighbors and relatives and friends, and so that was a big part of like helping mom cook. And then you would, whatever it was, if it was a week before or if it was 2 weeks before Christmas, and then kind of like what you do here, you make little tins and you share with people, and it was like, this is everybody's going to get it, all hands on deck, and whether you're rolling dough or kneading dough or helping with some form of the cookie cutter process or whatever it may be. It was a big thing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Hey, Lynne.
Yeah.
Hey, Lynne, tell the truth. When Joey turned towards Luke and started down that trail, you were cringing for just a second. Weren't you?
I was cringing for just a second.
There's always just that little moment where you're like, oh no, what's he about to ask?
We can edit, all right? We can edit, and no one will ever know.
To Joey's credit, he did text me earlier and asked. He's like, "Hey, this is what we would like to talk about."
Thanks, man.
And would you be good with that? I was like, "Of course, sure, be glad to."
Thanks. I'm glad you're here.
I almost thought about.
I'm dealing with Lynne and Roy right now.
I almost thought about flipping it back on you and like complete outrage and be like, "How dare you?" I was like, "No, that would be rude."
Next time. There's always next time.
Honestly, it would not have gotten me. Because seriously, you're so laid back about it. I'd be like, he's messing with me. So I wanted to talk to you guys about the whole, and I think all of our listeners would have exposure to this, that sometimes there's tension of, oh, you shouldn't say Merry Christmas because you don't know if people are Christians. And then you have Christians who are super upset as far as, oh, they're taking away the real public meaning of Christmas and how dare they resort to happy holidays and 'tis the season. Well, when I was writing down some notes about what to talk about along these lines, I wanted to know, was there a year, and I didn't think something would pop up, but sure enough, and I do remember, and I think this is why I looked it up, is there was a year where this really peaked big time, and it was all the rage. It was what everybody was talking about. Everybody was mad. Christians were mad because folks were suggesting not saying Merry Christmas. So I want you guys to guess, in the last 30 years, what year do you think this peaked as far as it being a pretty polarizing topic with what you should say in greeting people during the Christmas holidays?
Let's say
I feel like it's been within the last 10 years.
Yeah, I want to say 2012 to 2016.
Okay.
I would think like 10 to 12.
Okay. So what I found on Google, it says 2000.
Then it must be true.
Right. 2005 is widely cited as the starting point for the modern political firestorm over holiday greetings. And then they said that it peaked again in 2016. So you guys are right around the money on that one. But a war on Christmas.
War on Christmas.
Right. O'Reilly on Fox News declared a war on Christmas, railing against retailers and businesses that used Happy Holidays and Season's greetings instead of Merry Christmas. And then that same year, there was a presidential greeting controversy. President George W. Bush drew conservative criticism for using holiday season on the official White House card instead of Christmas. And I thought with that example, we know, or at least we know the faith that George Bush presented. It sounded like he was a believer. And I think that in that case, there's different greetings. You've got Merry Christmas, you've got Season's greetings, you've got, Happy Holidays. But I'm curious what y'all think of this. Me personally, not only do I not care about the public display, and if people don't want to say Merry Christmas, I won't say Merry Christmas around you. I don't care. Privately, I'm going to say Merry Christmas, and it's all about Christmas. I would even go so far as to say that if I don't know a person, hey, the fact is not everybody in this country are Christians. And so I have found myself once in a while resorting to Happy Holidays because I don't know if someone shares my Christian faith. Now, not in a very legalistic way, and I wouldn't feel bad if I said Merry Christmas to someone and not knowing if they're a Christian, but just why not? Why not say something that's a little more neutral when you don't know, where someone is coming at? But I'm curious if y'all have any thoughts on this matter.
I don't care.
Don't care?
I'm like, if you're not Christian, like businesses are not Christian, our government is not Christian, and you have customers or constituents that span the spectrum, who cares if you say Happy Holidays to them? I can't even think of a scenario where I would be around somebody I didn't know and I would need to say Merry Christmas. I mean, if you're at the grocery store, you're just like, have a good day. I don't change my, like the cashier, you're just like, thanks, have a good night. I don't change my greeting or my thank you based on the season. So I don't really care.
So in that context, I will say, especially in the South, unless I am greeted with a Merry Christmas at a cashier checkout, I'm not going to be the one to say it first because I'm not sure what they may or may not want me to say. So if they're like, hey, thanks, I've paid my thing, I'm picking my bags and walking out, have a good day, or thanks, have a good night, whatever it may be is great. But if they're the ones initiating and being like, thank you and thanks for shopping or whatever, and Merry Christmas, sure, Merry Christmas, right back at you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say, and I think from how you guys answered it, I would imagine you would agree. If I wasn't a Christian, I just can't imagine being upset at somebody saying Merry Christmas to me. I mean, it just gets to a point, and hopefully this isn't offensive to all the non-Christians listening, which are probably like zero. But if I find something else to get super upset about, who cares? Like, it's a holiday that, but at the same time, I try to.
But that's not the outrage that you're talking about isn't usually from that side. I don't know that I've ever heard people get upset that somebody told them Merry Christmas when they weren't a Christ follower. It's usually the other way around. It's usually the Christ follower that wants to make a big deal about the fact that they said, Happy Holidays or whatever. Right. And it's like, Why? Like,
Right.
there's so much more. I mean, so many other more important things to get up, to worry about.
Yeah.
And so if somebody said Happy Hanukkah to me, I wouldn't get upset. Like, they're obviously Jewish, and this is the time of the year where they're celebrating a holiday that means something to them. I'm not offended that they said Happy Hanukkah to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. It's like we want to find stuff to argue about.
Well, yeah, and it's the age-old thing. We expect non-Christian. I mean, guess what? Non-Christians act like non-Christians.
Yeah.
Like, if Christmas is a Christian holiday, which it is, then why would we expect non-Christians to use a term that they don't themselves, celebrate in terms of the actual meaning of the holiday?
Well, and I think also to the point of like Happy Hanukkah too, like because that holiday, Christmas, and then even New Year's Eve and New Year's Day fall around that same general time of the year, to an unbeliever, it's more of a general, hey, there's a bunch of holidays right now, so happy holidays for the season. Like it's not, they're not singling you out for being a Christian and saying, I'm just trying to get under your skin to, not say Merry Christmas to you. I think they're just saying happy holidays because it's a bunch of holidays. Now, if it was Christmas in June or July, or say around any other non-big holiday, and you said somebody, or if it was happy holidays, it's like, well, there is only one holiday currently to address. So then it would be weird to not specify that holiday.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't say, Happy 4th of July, and you wouldn't say like Happy Holidays in July, that is the only holiday to be addressed. So yeah, we should prank somebody for like Christmas in July, Happy Holidays.
No, that's a good point, Luke.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, for sure.
That really is good. We don't have an argument. I mean, we don't have a controversy at Easter time. There's no alternative to Easter. It's like,
right.
Happy Easter. That's all we're celebrating right now.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to turn a sharp corner, and I want the four of us to process pain and the pain of this world. And when it comes to the holiday season and what I depict or what I tried to articulate earlier in the episode as far as the two extremes of what people are experiencing, this image came to my head, and I just thought, I don't know if we'll be able to keep it on the YouTube video, but I want y'all to see this. Y'all are probably familiar with the movie Forrest Gump, but this to me nails it. Roy, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but all right, Caitlin. Gosh, like when I think about that scene, it's like you can feel the pain of Lieutenant Dan, and you hear the celebration. Even Forrest Gump is like, Happy New Year's. And I think what makes that scene even more special is when you think about how Lieutenant Dan wanted to die, was mad at Forrest Gump for saving his life, and then like at the end of the movie, he thanks him, and he's married, and he's, his whole life is turned upside down in a good way. But if most of the listeners, if you didn't see what we just saw, it was the New Year's scene where Lieutenant Dan is in a wheelchair. He had to get his legs amputated. Everybody's celebrating around him, and he is legit depressed in a very depressive state. And I wanted to ask you guys, when it comes to the pain of this world, and I'll kind of articulate what I'm thinking when I ask this, because it may be a weird question. Was there a time in your life where you feel like, and maybe not a pinpointed time, but maybe a season of life where you recognize life is really, really painful, almost like a loss of innocence? I thought that a lot of kids may not know how to process it, but that happened way earlier in life. You think about the kids who have been abused sexually or just physical abuse, maybe around a lot of violence. Early on in age, they're like, wow, this is not a safe place, but they don't know how to necessarily process it. I think for me, I was one of the lucky or blessed ones to not have a grasp on the pain of this world for a really long time, because I grew up in a Disney World household, like great parents, and just I didn't encounter a whole lot of hardship. Was not exposed to things that would darken my soul in any way. And I remember, and I can't pinpoint a time, but I do remember as an adult where I recognized, because I've always had faith in God from a Christian perspective, and I remember as an adult waking up to, oh my gosh, this world is just so painful, and hearing the grim details of like the Holocaust, for instance, and then wondering what in the world, like, God, I just don't understand how you could allow babies to be tortured, and just the overwhelming sense of this, kids not having any control over their environment and going through hell as youngsters. And I think I had to get to a place where I don't think maybe we should ever be at peace with it, because that's not something we make peace with. Especially as believers, we want to bring some form of redemption wherever we go, or hope, in this hopeless world. But you have to do something mentally to live with the knowledge of the pain of this world and still function and operate. So I feel like I had to cross a line of maybe it's an acceptance thing. Okay, I accept there are horrible, horrible, horrible things happening to multitudes every second of every day, and just living with that reality. And as a Christian, also grabbing hold of hope that God's going to turn it all around and redeem all things. But how would y'all describe y'all's journey as far as the pain of this world?
I think for me, similar to you, Joey, I don't know that I've had to necessarily experience a whole lot myself personally. Been pretty fortunate in the area of just things like sickness and disease and death and things in my family. But so I would just simply say, for me, it is literally like a present reality that I'm just the realization more and more of just just the pain that people are dealing with. And I would say even just in this last year, like the more I walk with people through loss and grief, the more I see it personally, and the more I empathize with it in a way that I never could have before. And so I empathize with people more now this year than I did a year ago. And a year ago, it was more than it was the year before. I feel like just every year that passes, I just more and more understand how much, how much people hurt, how much how much grief really does to people. And I think part of it is just, even though I haven't walked through it personally, some of it, um, I'm closer to it now than I've ever been. Like, I know I'm closer to losing my parents today than I was a year ago, right? And so those realities are things that I think about a lot more now than I used to. And when I think about those, I think about what that's going to feel like. That's going to be devastating. And so I understand when people are hurting, like, even our guest today, Jill, like, um, I know a lot of times our goal is to help people not hurt. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
When you've gone through what she's gone through, it's not, like it hurts. It is painful. Grief is devastating. And, so I think the best thing we can do is just love people through it and, try to continue to be there for them. But man, we're even faith. There's no such thing as, even faith doesn't shield us and doesn't keep us from just hurting deeply when we lose people.
Mm-hmm. Roy, I appreciate the reminder of losing parents, and I'm embarking on the first Christmas without my dad. I appreciate that, but I'm just kidding.
Wow,
no,
Joey.
Well,
You're not just kidding.
You have to be able to laugh sometimes.
Okay.
But it's true. But no, Joey, it is true. It's 100% true, because I've watched I've watched now one of my I've watched a friend lose his. Like here we are another year where I've watched a friend who's only 48 years old. We're the same age. losing his dad. And so I realized, like, man, I'm not promised tomorrow with mine.
Yeah.
I'm not promised tomorrow with my mom or dad. I hope they're around for a long time, but man,
Well,
if it
yeah.
happened to you and your family, it could happen to me tomorrow. And
Mm-hmm.
so the reality of that is present more than ever.
Right. But what I was going to say about that is, and I mean, if Dad's hearing me right now, he would say yes and amen. Much rather my dad than one of my kids. Like that's the pain of like losing a child and then embarking on the holidays, for instance, or just life. I mean, not even the holidays. It's like you literally, and I'm not speaking from experience, but I would imagine you literally are just putting one foot forward and just it's just a grind, you know? I mean, I don't know how you ever even get over that, but yeah, just deep grief. How about you guys? How can I make I mean, a guess with you is how old were you when your brother died?
It was awful. I feel like I lived in it, and even for my mom definitely was in a daze for years.
Yeah.
And even like my brother's favorite, I'm gonna cry.
That's all right.
My brother's favorite pie was apple pie. And my mom and my grandmother never made another apple pie. Like to this day, till my grandmother passed, they would always make it on holidays, and neither of them ever made another apple pie. So, yeah, I think it's just one of those things where you, thank you, Luke. When you because I was in my 20s when I first experienced that kind of loss. And so up until then, I would say I didn't have a framework. I didn't have a framework for it. I even remember a friend of mine lived in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina, and she and a friend evacuated, and they lost everything. And I remember we were hanging out, and that friend was there. And we were all having normal conversation, and the friend exploded at us, and was like, "Who even cares about what you're talking about?" And at the time, we were just like, shocked. It's not that we were callous towards what was going on, but we didn't have a framework. Well, you think about Helene and how many people we knew in Asheville, and it was a different, the more you live, just like you're saying, Roy, like the more you walk with people through stuff, the more it gets closer and closer to you. It's just different. And so even with grief, going through that, there was a time where I couldn't talk about my brother at all. Couldn't share anything because I just couldn't handle it. And over time, you start to laugh again. You don't get mad because you're in an environment where people are happy and they just don't understand that your world has come crashing down. But the Lord puts your world back together and you keep on going, and now my brother's birthday was in September, and me and my mom always talk on his birthday and the day that he died. And I was like, my brother loves steak. So the first thing I asked my mom, I was like, "Did you eat a bloody steak today?" And she's like, "Yeah," and we laugh. And so I don't know, you just learn to hold both, you don't get over things, but the sting starts to be less. And then you move on to the next thing, and then something else happens and it stings again. And so I don't know that there's I don't know that I've figured it out, but I think as things have happened to people I love, you just start to have that, okay, life is hard, but as you go through it, you won't always feel like this. Like you will laugh again. You will find joy in things again, but then that pain will still be there somewhere and it'll just come up out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm with
Thanks, Lynne, for
I'm
sharing
with Roy that I've been blessed to not have that level of grief and loss yet for anybody very close to me. And so even like this conversation, but just year by year, being what I'm going to call a blind spot, being more aware of what's in that blind spot of people around me that are truly having a hard time even coming to terms with what's happening in the larger social setting and why they may not feel a certain way than I am, and just having more grace and awareness of, oh, previously I probably would have been like, I have no context for why you can't celebrate the way I can. And now, at least with conversation, with more awareness of what's in the blind spot, knowing that maybe that person is truly walking through something that I can't understand, I can't fathom. And I hope I don't ever have to fathom it. But if I do, I'll probably be able to relate a little bit more. But at least for now, I know not everybody can walk through a season of holidays back to back where the larger setting is of celebration. It's of joy and just cheer and you don't feel like that. I mean, you're just there because you were invited or like it's helping me get out of bed and be there and being around people is helpful. But if it were up to that person, you know, they would much rather maybe just sit and have a friend with a shoulder to cry on because of whatever it is that is a thought, a memory, a celebration, whatever it may be that is triggering a thought about who they've lost, and just being there to be like, hey, I'm so sorry that you're going through this, and I don't fully understand it, but if I can just be here to listen, or great. If not, and if even offering that to people around to be like, if this is hard, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you leave. If it is easier to not be in this setting right now, then it's totally okay. Don't feel obliged to be part of the social setting because everybody else is here, and just offering that grace.
Yeah, I love that. Like, there's a episode we released about a month ago, Kira Tallarico, and she lost her son, and she literally talked about what it felt like to go into public places, like in grocery stores, for instance, and knowing that people have no clue the darkness that is behind the face. Yeah. And what a reminder it was for her that the same holds true for people she sees. Yeah. You have no clue what people are going through. Do y'all, at this juncture in your life and in your faith, I would say maybe in an unhealthy way, do you ever want the why question answered? I'd say for me, it's almost a non-factor because I think there's been an acceptance of there's no way. Like, I'm not God, and God's not revealing why. And even if he did, I wouldn't necessarily be sure if it was God or not. I mean, I don't struggle with the why at this juncture in my life. I don't, if that's a good thing or a bad thing or what.
No, I would agree. I think in some ways we're kind of spinning our wheels, wasting our time trying to figure that out because we just don't know.
Right. It's like a letting go that has to happen. It seems like would you say universally it's probably good for people just not to ask why? And that's not a should, like, hey, if you're asking why, you really shouldn't be. But bottom line, maybe that's just healthy for everybody. Let go of the why. Pastor Roy, would you say that?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Because I've seen a lot of people, I've seen a lot of bad answers come because people want to answer that question.
Yeah.
And they're always looking for some way to rationalize it. There's a lot of bad theology out there when we're just looking to try to answer that question. At the end of the day, we just don't know. And it doesn't change it. It's not going to change anything to try to figure that question out. So
I don't know that it's been in the context of loss of a near loved one, but in general with suffering or just something heinous that you witness or hear about across the world, I have wrestled with the why. And I think not so much of a, Lord, why are you allowing this to happen? But more so like, Lord, really when can you come again and put an end to this? Lord, please come, because this is too cruel to witness, let alone go through. And hearing about whether it is with minors or just adults or whatever the form of suffering may be, I have walked through times when it's like, Lord, I'm not okay with the thoughts I have about this right now, and why this can't just all end. I know you have a plan. I know you have some way you're going to redeem all of this, and that's the hope that at least as believers we have. But for those that don't, this is just painful to live through, and so why not just put an end to it?
Yeah.
And come sooner, come as soon as you can, and then through weekly, Sunday morning messages or whatever it may be, or devotionals or a podcast episode where God has very specifically at those times of those questions has just reassured me with what I needed to know about He's still good, He's still in control, free will still exists, we still live in a fallen world, and the hope that we have that all this will end one day might not be in our lifetimes. Hopefully it is, but if it's not, God's still good, God's still sovereign.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if not in our lifetime, personally, when we peace out, that's when it happens for us.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I agree with the guys. I don't think why is productive. I think that's our natural instinct to want to create purpose out of something horrible that happened. It's the way we want to make sense out of it. But we just, like you said, we have to wrestle down that God is good, because that is the only thing, there's never going to be a why that's going to make it better, that's going to change it, that's going to take the pain away. And so our only hope is in Jesus. And so I think wrestling through our faith that He is good and that He's with us, and that it grieves His heart too, I think, is really our only way forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think there is a place for the why in terms of just us as human beings and society, understanding of why did this happen and what could we have done to prevent it. So like say it's a situation with people getting trafficked or something happening to minors. Us looking at what happened and trying to figure out why it happened is actually helpful, because we can't just turn a blind eye and be like, well, God will figure it out.
So more of a practical why.
Yeah, more of a, how did nobody catch this? How did nobody see the signs leading up to this happening, or whatever it may be, and then why did that happen? Kind of a root cause analysis of like, maybe there is something that we can actually help. It might not make any difference to the people that have already been impacted by it, but it might save tons of others who could have, if we were just like, well, too bad.
It's probably semantics, but let me challenge you. Maybe what you just said is the how. How did it happen? That's what would you say that's maybe fair? Like, why did something happen? Well, we don't know, but how did it happen? Ooh, well, if we know how, then we can maybe do something about it.
Sure, maybe.
Right here, man. Teamwork. Teamwork. Hey, we'll close.
Luke, you get credit for that. Though.
Yes.
You get credit for that.
Yeah. We'll close with this question. Are you at a place, and think of personal struggles, personal pain, when you just know, man, I'm not doing well. I'm suffering right now. This is what suffering is for me in this current stage of life, whatever. Are you at a place in which you can count it all joy in the way that James says in chapter 1? For me personally, sometimes I can remind myself that, hey, God's going to work good out of this, and maybe get a little bit of comfort, but I don't think I'm at a place where I just suffer and I count it all joy at the same time. I'm just not there. Like real suffering, I just want out. Lord, get me out of this suffering. I'm not joyous about this at all.
I don't know that the verse "count it all joy" is an active in the moment count it all joy. I don't know that you can. I don't know that if you're walking through something hard, no matter what the season, no matter what the difficulty may be, I don't know that you can in the moment also be like, yeah, I'm joyful about this. I think
that's good.
Endurance, training, whatever it may be, in the moment, it's always painful and there's suffering involved.
Or else it wouldn't be
It's
suffering.
always retrospectively that you're like, I can now see what God did through that and count that as joy. No matter how painful that season was, I don't know that in the moment it's even possible to be like, yes, this sucks and I'm joyful about it.
Now you got me thinking about the use of count it joy. It's almost like, I know you're suffering, but consider it joy. It's almost like a mental thing. It's not going to take away your suffering because it's suffering, but at least mentally you can count it as joy. Like I'm going to mentally assent to that thought that there's joy coming from the thought of God doing something through this. You got my wheels turning. All right, Lynn and Roy, y'all can close us out.
I'm going to let Roy end because I don't have a lot to say on this. It sounds great. I want to be able to do that. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I even think of like for the joy set before him, like Christ did not, he felt the suffering. He asked not to take it, but there was a joy set before him. And so even in the count it all joy, it's like looking at this, even like hearing people who were in the thick of it and they're like, I know that on the other side of this, like, I know that the Lord is going to be with me through this. I feel like that's more of an assurance, of like, I know that I will get through this. But I don't know that I like experience joy. But I would love to get to a place where I am counting it joy in the midst or when I face trials of many kinds.
Yeah. And I would think too, this is just a guess because it's not from experience, because like I said, I haven't figured out how to do it, but I would imagine the joy coexists with the suffering, or else that passage would be saying, don't ever suffer. Yeah. You should always be joyous.
The suffering is still there.
Yeah, the joy is going to be there with the suffering.
Yeah.
Roy?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure I'm there completely. And, it scares me it scares me because I've seen that the concept and being misrepresented and misused so many times to try to, again, kind of similar to what I said earlier, to try to coax people out of grief and out of sadness and like, hey, come on, like, you're be filled with joy, like, come on, like, and it's like, man, it's just not that simple. It's just not that easy. Our faith does not shield us from being down, depressed, grieved, sad. It's still a part of the process that we walk through. And I think, I think the difference for us, and this is where it's like, we got to let everybody walk out that timeline. There's no exact timeline for it. Do we hopefully eventually get to a place of joy? Yeah, I hope so. And I believe we can. And that's the hope that we have in Jesus. But for everybody, it's different. And I think that's just one of the things I've just come to, when I talk about that growth in my own life, is realizing, like, man, there have been seasons where I thought, man, are they still not over that? Man, are they still like, it's the third year. Is it still hard to go through that birthday? Is it still hard to go through that holiday 3 years later? And now what I realize is, man, how dare I? Like, absolutely it is. And honestly, it may always be for the rest of their lives.
Right.
It may, there are always going to be hard days, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Lynn, can I put you on the spot and ask you to pray for people who are listening and they're thinking, this is too painful. I don't like this. And I was hoping maybe even to be encouraged by listening to this, but it's heavy.
Can I just say one more thing right there before Linda? And because you just mentioned for people that are listening, and I want to make sure they hear what I just said. Like, man, as a pastor, I just want them to hear, like, if you're grieving, like, it's okay. Like I think sometimes the church beats people up, like, man, your faith is weak or whatever. And like, man, if you're out there listening today and you're grieving this holiday season, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make you less of a Christian, doesn't make your faith weak. Like, it just means that you loved well. And when you love well, it's supposed to hurt. It hurts. And so you're okay. You're fine right where you are. We love you. And so Lynn, thanks for,
Yeah.
thank you for praying for him.
Father, we know that you are close to the brokenhearted and you draw near to those who are crushed in spirit. And so we thank you. You know what it is to suffer. And so we don't have a high priest who doesn't know what we're going through. And so thank you that for those listening, that you are close to them, that you can comfort in ways that we don't even know to ask for. I just pray just for a soft space to land. I pray for you to surround listeners with people who are humble and gentle and will just sit with them. I even think about Jewish culture of just sitting Shiva, of just mourning with people. Lord, surround the listeners with people who will mourn with them, that don't need to say words that they think are going to make them feel better. But just that they are able to honor the loss, because there is loss. Holidays are not going to be the same. There are people that they're going to meet in the future who are not going to know their loved ones. But we know that there's a hope before us, Lord. And so just give us the strength, give everyone listening the strength to hold those two things in tension, like the hope of what is to come and just the pain that they're in that is real. And you know it. This is not the way you designed this world. This is not your desire for us. And so, Lord, just comfort us, be with us. And we just thank you for that day that is coming. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, well, we are here with Jill Forbes. And Jill, you've been going to Seacoast like 2005 to 2008-ish.
We moved to Charleston in 2004.
Dang, and started going to Seacoast right away?
Yeah, when Heath was interviewing after his master's program.
That's your husband, Heath? Okay.
Every city we would go to, we would try a church just to make sure, mostly because he knew I was going to need somebody to talk to. And not always him. So we would make sure there was a church that we could at least start at in that city. And so we went to the chapel service with Pastor Michael.
Yeah.
And we walked out and he's like, okay, well, we got a starting point, and we never left.
Yeah.
They have not kicked us out.
Nice. Hey, I was talking to her on the phone yesterday, and she's neighbors with my high school and college girlfriend.
What?
Who married a Charleston celebrity, but that's her business.
It's
that's
true. We won't out her, but
use names.
Yeah. No names.
No names. It under wraps.
So how familiar are you with Jill and her story?
So familiar, because I actually, met Jill through Pat. So like we haven't been at the same campus, but just knowing
who's Pat?
the same.
Y'all got to fill in.
A mutual friend.
Okay.
Yep. And so been, like seen each other, been in the same circles, and then Jeff Lineberger, Pastor Jeff, who is our West Ashley campus pastor, was at the Dream Center. And he had like a little CrossFit gym in his house for a while.
Oh, you used to work out with Heath.
And I used to work out with Heath. Yeah.
Yep. And when I was over Sisterhood at North Charleston, you spoke for us at least once.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was telling Jill that she's probably the third person who's coming to the studio where everybody seems to know her, and I haven't met her yet. Like I've been asked, like I think I asked Josh Walters, like, you know Jill Forbes? Yeah, I know Jill Forbes. I asked you know Jill Forbes? Yeah, I know Jill Forbes. And it's like, gosh, I don't know Jill Forbes.
I'm so sorry about that. But today's your lucky day.
So I'm curious, like, how do you feel about being in here and talking about what you're going to talk about? So we're obviously, this is a grief episode centered around the holidays. As we know, that's such a deeply heavy time for people who are suffering with grief. How do you feel? Like, is it nerve-wracking? Are you encouraged to have this opportunity to help others?
Yeah,
or what?
I hate that this is my platform.
Yeah.
I hate it. I would trade places. This is comfortable for me. Podcast speaking, all of that is comfortable for me, but the fact that this is my platform is infuriating to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I wrote this down. Lynn knows I do this sometimes because I'm in my late 40s and sometimes I need to stay grounded. But I want to hear whether or not you agree with this, because this is how I feel about an episode like this. I think it's so important that the deep grief community is represented.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to come on a podcast and talk at all.
Sure.
But if you're willing, as you are, to talk about something so deeply personal and heavy, I think it's important that someone like you does so, because people who haven't grieved at these sort of depths need to hear from someone like you to understand what their loved ones are going through. And I feel like people grieving need to be spoken on behalf of.
Yeah.
Like I've heard many people who's listened to an episode that we've done on grief, and we've had quite a few, say, I'm so glad he or she said that. I'm so glad they mentioned that. Like, I feel heard. You agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you hate that it's your job.
Yeah, I would. Anybody else?
Right.
Yeah, I would totally give it up. But I'm not going to waste this season. Right? If I have to walk through this, and I'm not going to waste it. And I think everyone who's grieving has some sort of way that they, deal or whatever, I'm not going to start a 5K in honor of Heath, right? Like that's not what I'm doing. But I want to honor him and the marriage that we had and the legacy and our family. And this is in my wheelhouse, in my gifting, and I'm just not going to waste it. I will probably cry for the rest of the day, but I'm going to take these opportunities.
Yeah.
So.
And I hope you don't mind me. Do you know about Lynne's past and her deep loss of grief? Losing her brother?
I mean some.
Yeah. She lost her brother, so she's familiar with these sorts of depths of pain. Well, before we get into your story of losing Heath, why don't you tell us about Heath?
You said you've talked to lots of people and they know who we were. I don't know that there is anyone that would have anything negative to say about Heath Forbes. Being Heath Forbes' wife was my greatest joy. Motherhood was like on me, still most days. But I wanted to be a wife, and he was the best of the best. He was 19 when we met, and so we got married and he was 21. Like he could barely drink and certainly couldn't rent a car. And so
I'm taking it you're older than him?
I was 22.
Okay.
I was, I'm 3 years older. 3 years older than Heath was. And so I watched him just become this like leader, professionally and in our community and definitely in our family. I watched our kids learn to respect him. And there was nothing I could do without Heath ushering me into a room. And so having to be now in this stage where I have to like kind of garner my own confidence is a wild place to be.
Yeah.
Because I feel like for 25 years, not that, it obviously is all from the Lord. Don't hear me say anything different, but he brought a confidence to my life that I could conquer the world. And so having to kind of be in this new space at my age and be like, oh God, having to figure it out. So he was just the best of the best. Yeah. Truly.
Yeah. Can you give your age as context? Some people don't like to.
Maybe. I'm 48.
48. Right here, we're the 48 club.
Yippee.
So you knew Heath.
Yeah, not well, but just, right. I mean, you don't talk a lot when you're working out.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so true.
Through mutual friend, Pastor Jeff, we worked out Tuesdays and Thursdays as people could.
Right.
But it was
COVID
like,
tho, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that weird time?
Yeah. So it was like small community of people, like a group of people who would come in and out working out. So like your boy.
My boys would come. Yeah.
So,
and Lydia would be playing with Selah off someplace.
Yep. So
can you take the children with you when you go? Why don't you take the kids? Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say I was asking Walter's whatever background info that he had, and I think he said, I think Heath died a couple of years ago, and then he was like, wait, he said, I think it was pretty recent. Do you realize she's only had one holidays without him? Mm-hmm. Like I was telling you, that's surprising for me. And again, everybody has different journeys, but a lot of folks who I have tried to the best of my ability to pastor through grief would never be talking like this
Right.
so soon.
Right.
Do you feel like this is kind of unique?
Sometimes, and then sometimes it feels like it's already been a decade. Right? So there's that two hands of it where it does feel like when people say to me, Jill, this is still new. I'm like, is it? Because I'm exhausted. Like, I don't know how new this is. So in my head, there are days where it feels like it's been way longer.
Okay.
So I don't know. But again, this is my wheelhouse. Like, somebody else might do it differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just the only way I know how to do it.
Yeah. So I legit, I like to find things out on the podcast usually. So I don't know what happened to Heath.
So Heath had a heart attack at 36, was out of town for work. There's family history, but even the doctors were like, doesn't explain this. This was wild. And so we were in Florida on vacation for Memorial Day. And we were playing pickleball with friends, and I was noticing the signs that he had said he'd had the first time. And I was like, something is
You're in
just
Florida.
not right. Yeah, on the pickleball court. And I was like, something just is not right. And so I said to him, are you okay? And he's like, my chest is hurting. And I knew we were a mile from an urgent care. I was like, let's just head that way. We were with our friends Jeff and Kim, and I was like, Jeff, if you'll go in with Heath, I'll go get the kids settled, and I'll be right back. And we got to their door, which was like another mile away. And he was like, Heath has collapsed. You need to get back here. So came back. The nurse came out and was like, this weird, like, so he's flatlined, but we got him back. So everything's, it was like this weird, like, am I sad? Is it okay? How am I supposed to feel? I couldn't figure out how I was supposed to feel, by the way, and so we're transporting him, apparently flatlined in the ambulance. They were never able to recover him at that point. So I remember being in the waiting room praying, like, Lord, if today is the day, let me be prepared for it. But also, please don't let me have to make a decision about this. Like, either take him or don't, but don't make me have to turn off a machine or make some sort of decision that I will regret later. My kids might resent. Like, just do what you have to do. And I remember, I don't know what her job is, but I could see her come out and she looked back at me and I was like, uh-oh. But I just knew. And she was like, Mrs. Forbes, you can come this way. And Heath had a mentor in Florida. We lived in Gainesville for 3 years. Such an ironic place that this is where the Lord took him, because this is where our marriage came alive. This is where I learned that church could be healthy. This is where we learned to lead. Like, so many pivotal things happened for us in Gainesville. So to be back there for this was very full circle for me. But Heath's mentor's wife was with me, and my friend Kim. And I just remember looking back at them. I'm like, this is it, isn't it? Like, as we walked back to, felt like miles, and they took us to the quiet room, and the doctor came in. And I just remember her saying, tell me what you know. And I was like, I don't want to know what I know. What do you know? Tell me what you know. And then everything was a blur until you hear, we did everything we could. God. And I was like, cool. That's where we are. Yeah. So then just waiting for
month and year?
On Memorial Day, 2024. So
2024.
May 27th. Yeah. So just a few days shy of his 44th birthday. So yeah, but I will say that the Lord began to speak immediately to me in those moments. There were things very clearly in those moments that he said loudly, and like to the point where I was looking around like, anybody else hear that? But just very clearly in those moments that I knew, like, I gotta listen, I gotta follow this, I gotta be in tune with this next phase. So yeah.
Can you share any of those?
Yeah. So the first one very clearly was, this is devastating, but you are not devastated. And learning very quickly in those moments to take my thoughts captive and make them obedient to Christ, that there was going to be facts and there was going to be truth and there was going to be potential drama in this for me. The fact was my husband died. The truth was it sucked. And the potential drama was that I wasn't going to make it. And that could not be, right? Like, I didn't have that choice. And so what was I going to do? And how was I going to think about it? And I still weigh things under fact and truth and drama.
Wow.
Where does this fit in my life, right? And so being able to do that was number one. Number two was, your son is now not the man of the house. And your children need to know that their place does not change, right? You will continue to be the mom. You have your own people that will take care of you. Your job is to continue to take care of them and not for them to take care of you.
Wow.
So being able to say that to them in the moment, like, Will, this isn't your job. And he even got to, and this is the beauty of community, as Will had graduated this last year, has been in a small group since 7th grade.
So real quick,
Yeah,
just
go.
for context,
Yeah.
how old were your kids when they lost their dad?
So this was May, and in September, they all turned 18, 16, and 13.
Okay.
So the big birthdays happened, just a few months after Heath died. So they were 17, 15, and 12.
And 2 sons and a daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, my boys are the oldest. But his small group, he's trying to decide on college. He's like, I just don't think I can go. I don't think I can leave my mom. And his small group is like, no, your dad wouldn't want that. You've worked really hard. Your mom has her people. Like, this is your time. And so, again, it wasn't just my community that was important in all of this, but his as well. And just being able to speak that truth over them. But the really, truly, if I could say anything to anybody walking through grief or about to, your thoughts are number one. Number one. It is what will send you into spiral or keep you partially sane through all of it, is just being able to go, no, that's not true about this. It's just not true about this. So
yeah. Did you learn that lesson sometimes the hard way, as far as like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking this, or did you feel like kind of from day one it sounded like God was speaking?
It was
to
quick conviction.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. If it would start to go any sort of way, the Lord or somebody in my life would say, that's catastrophizing. Stop that.
Yeah. It just speaks to my heart so much, you saying how immediately God started speaking to you, because I immediately think God is near the brokenhearted
Yes.
and those who are crushed in spirit.
Yes,
And I almost lost it, because
Yes.
I'm like, the Lord's word is alive.
Yeah.
And, the song Graves into Gardens, Heath used to sing that a lot at church, and I couldn't listen to it for a long time. But I finally did a few months ago, and the line that says, the God of the mountain is the God of the valley. And I was like, no, ma'am. And not that they're different people. Please don't hear that wrong. But the God of the mountain and the God who has met me in the valley is totally different. The God of the mountain is a go-getter and, let's move and what can we do and how can we impact? And the God of the valley has been silent. He has been patient. He has been kind. Like, there was a particular, the shower is my sanctuary. Where Heath used to always be like, your mom's in the shower, don't come in here. Like, he knew that's where Jesus spoke to me. Like, that was off limits to the kids. Mom's in the shower. And there was one particular morning, I was on the floor in the shower, screaming every word you could possibly imagine. And I was just screaming, get me out of this valley. And for months I'd been doing this. Never a word until this one morning, and just so quietly, he was like, I'd love to get you out of this valley, but your anger is pointed toward me and it's not mine. And I was like, oh. And I'd love to say, like, I jumped out of the shower and was immediately mad at the enemy, because the Lord was very clear, like, this is not what I wanted for you either. This was not my plan for your family. And so to get out of the shower, I wish I was like, you're right. It hasn't been that way. There have been other days in the shower as well. But, like, the fact that he just waited for me to be ready. He didn't push himself on me. He didn't interrupt me at the wrong time. Like, I'm like, I didn't have to remember that as a parent as well, right? Just your time to speak will come. Just keep it shut until it's necessary. But he's been so kind in that.
Yeah.
So.
We won't get into it, but that brings up interesting theology that Chip Judd has spoken very firmly on. He says, and he's influenced some of our top leaders here, is like, stop it with the God is in control stuff, because it sends the message that God is controlling the abuser that's abusing kids, the wife who tragically loses her husband.
1,000%. That's one of my big pet peeves, is God is in control. Has God been sovereign over this? 1,000%. But God controls weather. There's very clear in Scripture, self-control is all over Scripture, which is where grief comes in, right? there is a self-control over our mind and what we think and how we handle our situations. And like, we are to be self-controlled. It's a fruit of the Spirit. And so to rely on God to be the one that we blame, and it's not fair. It's not okay.
No.
That's another podcast. We can do that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk some about the holidays.
Yeah.
You've only been through one, and we're heading into another one. Yeah. Was it intimidating? Like, are you a big Christmas and Thanksgiving kind of fan? Like, I'm really big into it.
Yeah. So several years ago, Heath asked me to like chill on the traditions. Like, can we just pick a couple?
Wow.
Like, do we have to have 40? Like, do we have to have all the matching? That's not really what we did. But he asked to like, can we pare down on the expectation of this? Like, I feel like you're stressed out. And we have all these boxes we have to check. And like, is this even fun for everyone? This one's crying and this one's melting down. So I heard that. And so we pared down a ton. And so that made this way easier. Like, it's one of the many things that I can see Jesus was preparing us for. Right. And so we really have just one tradition. There are even some years we don't get a tree up because we're traveling or whatever. We always had real trees. And so, Heath's family came to me for Thanksgiving, which I made a conscious decision, I will say, on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day to just stuff it. I did. I'm like, we'll deal with the emotions later. Like, just stuff the stuff.
Like, just get through it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it worked well for me, honestly. I don't know if that's the right thing, but my middle, Micah, he is very introspective. He doesn't like a lot of small talk and petty words, but he was noticing people kept saying, like, what are you going to do differently for the holidays? Or how are the holidays, And he said, Mom, don't you feel like people want us to be sad? Wow. It was like almost this expectation that we were not allowed joy. And he was like, and our family has started calling it a shot of joy, like realizing that joy isn't abundant and overflowing, but I'll just take a shot of it. So like, we went to Disney for one day, like a shot of joy. That's what that was for us, right? And so that's what he said. He was like, I just really would like a shot of joy. Can we just try this?
So y'all did that for the holidays?
No, Disney was later.
Gotcha.
No one should go to Disney for the holidays. Let's be clear on that, okay? That's ridiculous. That would not have been a shot of joy. But yeah, so I bought an artificial tree. He was very particular about our Christmas tree. He was an engineer by trade. There was a lot of lights on a very small tree. They wove in and out. And so my friend Stacy said, I think you need to get an artificial tree. You're never going to get it the way you did it. You're going to be upset. So we stood in Home Depot and I sobbed. And I was like, I can't do this. And she was like, if you leave this place, you will not put a tree up. You will not get the tree.
Yeah.
So I bought the tree and I brought it home. And Micah was like, can we just put it up? It's a shot of joy, Mom. Can we just put it up? And to watch his like,
wow.
I mean, that's what he needed, right? And so I would say, like, the buildup is always worse than the actual holiday. Every time. Like, whatever the thing is, we've now graduated a child, had to do that, there's been several things. But the week before is always worse. Like, oh, I'm dreading this. This is going to be my anniversary. I'm like, please just take me out.
Yeah.
But the week before was way worse than the day. And so remember, I would say, and I feel like a lot of people have said that once I, kind of said that a lot. Oh yeah, I could see that happened to me. Or,
which would a logical thought then be, hey, kind of try to let go of those thoughts as it's approaching, because you're bringing more pain on yourself by entertaining the dreadful thoughts.
Yes, absolutely.
So just kind of let it go a little bit.
Don't expect things to be one way or the other.
And it goes back to maybe taking it one day at a time. Like, today, you don't have to worry about Christmas Day because it's not Christmas Day.
Yes. And I think we do that by nature in all areas of our life. We hold on to things we don't need to hold on to yet.
Yeah.
And that, for sure, with grief and holidays and events, that's a thing. But yeah, there was joy. Like, the best way to describe it is there just felt like there was a Heath-size hole, right? Like, the kids loved their gifts, and I probably spent more than I would have normally. Like, that was for me too. I'm a gift giver. That's my spiritual gift. So I'm like, I'm spending the money this year. So I bought them more than I would have and gave them things I might not have. And that was great for my soul too. Right. And so there was joy. We laughed a lot at Thanksgiving. We had like 25 people in my house. And that was lovely. We had to, it was good. I caught my friend Stacy crying over glasses. I'm like, what is wrong with you? She was like, these were our beer tasting glasses, so there were those moments of obvious missing of him. But there can be joy. Like it's a but and.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So allow yourself, like it is not honoring to the person you've lost to keep yourself bound, right? So it's not honoring to Heath at all if I continue to live in misery and sadness. That's not honoring.
Yeah.
So
now, would you say it would have been important had you not felt any even shots of joy and you really were just down and sad? Would you have needed to be true to what you were feeling and not try to force something differently? Or are you thinking that people should try to,
I don't know,
jazz them up into
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
I think it's a thoughts captive thing, right? Like at the end of the day, what do I want this day to look like? Do I want to wake up on December 26th and be like, wow, I screwed that up. Like that was a bummer. The kids are down. We don't have like what do you want next year to be able to say about your first holiday? How do you want to look back on it maybe? But I don't know if there's a right way or the wrong way. I mean, if I'm honest, I've thought, how could I spend Thanksgiving by myself this year?
Mm-hmm.
How could I work that around? Can I ship my kids to their grandparents? And, there are those moments and I'm like, but is that the best for my family? Is that, I am a part of a community, whether I want to avoid it or not. I am a part of that. And so what will that look like for everybody if I check out?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know there's a right way.
How do you process this with your kids? Because I love it. I just listening to you, it's like you are giving people permission to grieve.
Yeah.
And you're giving them permission to feel joy. And it's not one or the other, it's both and.
Right.
And so even seeing Micah say, if we don't put this up now, we're not going to. Let's just put it up and have a shot of joy.
Right.
How have you, over the past year, continued to process that with your kids?
I think the number one thing is Heath is still a regular part of all of our conversations. We make fun of Heath all the time.
And that dude can't defend himself.
That's right.
That's
harsh. Own. You left, buddy. But he was an engineer, so he made very slow decisions. In February of 2023, I said, by next February, there needs to be a new to me vehicle in our driveway. You have 1 year. Because that's what it would take. There's lots of decisions and conversations and research and Well, in August of last year, I bought a car in 3 days. To the point where I was like, is this right? And all of my friends are like, yeah, this is what normal people do. They find a car, they drive it, they take it to their mechanic, and they buy it. Whatever Heath did was ridiculous. And so we make fun of that all the time. Wow, that was an easy decision. Look at us make a decision. Look how fast that went. So there is a lot of Heath is in our daily. He just is. And Micah plays volleyball and travels, and he looked at me the first tournament last year and he said, you shouldn't be here. This is Dad's job. And I said, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry that this is our story. So there are those moments but I've let them, Will, my oldest, he's like, I'm stuffing this. I'm stuffing it. I know I am. I'll deal with it one day. So I have to allow that. I've sent him to 2 counselors and he comes home and he's like, I passed counseling again. I'm amazing. He thinks he's winning.
It.
I'm like, oh Lord, whatever. God bless your wife because it is going to come out one day. So yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like. But yeah, he's a self-proclaimed stuffer, and Micah does not want to have any I think his biggest pet peeve would be, Joey, if you came to him and said, I lost my dad too, I understand. And he's like, you were 47.
Yeah, that'd be a very stupid thing to say.
Oh, it happens all the time. Let me know if you need anything. I've lost my dad too. And he's like, please. So he doesn't have time for any of the trite stuff. His best friend, the night that it happened, again, he's 15 years old, and Mason just sat on the phone with him for an hour. They didn't say a word. And Micah was like, I just needed to know he was there. Please don't say anything. Not that. And my friend Leanne was on the other side. Mason's like, what do I say? And she's like, nothing. Don't say anything. And so being able to be coached and know that your kids have a capacity to be community to their friends as well. And then Lydia is like so outgoing. She wants to process all the things. She's like, Mom, who's going to dance with me at my wedding? Like, she wants to talk about those things where I'm like, I can't go there with you. Like, why don't you think about it on your own and we'll talk about it in 10 years. Like, I can't do that. So yeah, she has lots of words about Heath all the time. So she processes that with her friends because I can't always go to the places she wants to go. So yeah, just allowing them in their own personality. I mean, you could see it in that moment when they walked through the door and in that hospital in Florida and I dropped the news. They immediately even Will's body language was, and I thought, oh, here we go. We're all, Lydia is hysterically crying, which is absolutely her personality. And Micah just keeps going, no way. So immediately their personalities came out in their grief. So allowing them to just continue with whatever that looks like for them.
That seems so important what you told your daughter. And I think that it was the right thing to say. And I think I would have had a hard time being in your shoes saying that. But honestly, she has to walk her own journey of grief, and you can't carry that, and she can't carry yours. So you pretty much just said, I can't go there with you.
Right. I am not talking about your wedding.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, there are some things we can talk about, but that is not one. And ironically enough, in the last couple of weeks, one was Heath's roommate in college, and another friend have walked their daughters down the aisle. And those have been like, boop, on social media, moving on. Yeah, we're not going there. There are just some things I'm not ready to go there. So maybe that's stuffing. I don't know what that is, but we'll deal with that later. So, yeah.
We should have a therapist sitting in that seat so they could tell you whether or not you're doing it.
I'm doing it fine. Don't say a word.
Do you plan on, have you thought about these 2025 holidays much and whether or not you're going to do anything different?
Yeah, I don't. So our best friends live in Kansas, and this is our Kansas year for Christmas. So we're driving to Kansas.
Driving.
Yeah. Thanksgiving's still up in the air. Micah does not want to go anywhere. So we might divide and conquer this year. Like, we have new rules, right? So, which 5 years ago, we're not going separate places. But my other two are like, well, we kind of want to go to our grandparents in Florida. And I'm like, so maybe you guys go and we don't. Like, I don't, the rules are off the table at this point for me. So just recreating stuff. So no, I don't really know. I know how Christmas will go, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there, you've already hinted at it as far as people trying to relate to your son, for instance, like everybody's grief is different. So you got to be really careful to say, I understand what you're going through. I'm curious, has there been anyone who you have felt like, hey, you need something from me that you shouldn't be trying to get me to give to you, whether it's you being happy in the moment or, I've actually heard some horror stories as far as parents grieving the loss of their son, for instance, and their family during the holidays are like, you're bringing us down. Like, it's like family should be a safe place. Let them be however their hearts are.
I have none of that. Yeah. I have one story of someone who caught me off guard, but no, I don't have any of that. I don't know whether I don't allow it in my head. Like, I don't know what that is. I don't.
Yeah.
I have stuff that I'm like, I would have said that differently. But even my kids and I, we've had this discussion a lot. Like, there is so much grace for people in this season. Like, Mike will be like, that was dumb. And I'm like, yeah, that was a little insensitive. And I'm like, but can we agree that they were trying their best? He was like, yes, we can absolutely. So even my kids understand, like, people are trying their best and they're not always going to get it right. So we have grace for people in the moment. But yeah, there truly isn't what I could say to you, what helped your heart. And it can be totally different from me. There is not a black or white thing. I would say the one thing is, can you give me a memory? Like, just give me a memory. Tell me something cool, some story you have with Heath or something Heath did for you. Like, those to me are gold. But other than that, we have grace for people that, I might say that differently later. But I've had lots of losses since Heath. And I go to respond. And I don't even always know what to say. Like, this might have been helpful for me, but I don't know if it'll be helpful for her. So, even walking through it, I don't know that there's a right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
Would you say that, is it fair to say that unless you have walked through the sort of depths of grief that you've walked through, there are certain things you just can't grasp?
Yes.
Like, you can think about yourself before losing Heath and probably like, I didn't know this is how this plays out.
No, and I don't even know if I could say what that is, right? I don't even know if there are words to put with that, but 1,000% it is. I lost my dad 8 years ago, and that was tough, but it pales. And, we dropped my kid off at school, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, how's it going to, I'm like, I don't know. Drop off for college was like a cakewalk. Like, I was like, oh, bye, see you in 2 weeks. Like, there was zero I'm like, after what we've all been through in the last year and a half, this was nothing. See ya. Have a great time at college, So, yeah, 2 years ago, that might have been way more devastating than it was. But this year, I was like, bye.
Yeah.
Call me when you want. So, yeah, there's just it's a ride.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got a new, can I call it a curriculum, or is it?
I don't know what we're calling it. Yeah.
Is it a small group curriculum? Is that what you're hoping to?
So it's going to start out as like a 4-week. I think it can be done. How I'm going to do it, how it's playing out is kind of like facilitated in a large group, but can be done, table topic type stuff.
Yeah. And it's preparing for grief.
Yeah.
What I want to clarify before I go further with questions, is it intended for people who have not experienced the loss of a child or a sibling or a spouse? And it's like, hey, if and when you go through this, here's some things to be thinking about beforehand.
Yes.
So it's interesting for me, because obviously there's going to be a lot of people that go through this that may not experience that kind of grief for a very long time, or maybe never. But the sort of understanding that you're fostering, because everybody's going to know somebody.
Right. It could be the biggest waste of 4 weeks. Honestly.
But I'm thinking that the opposite, because of the knowledge that you're giving people.
Yeah, in my head, I'm like, yeah, you could totally waste your 4 weeks, because you're going to, you guys could have a notebook death at 87, and it's perfect, and you die together in your bed, and everybody's happy. But, I mean, chances are slim. And no one wants to walk through this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when my mom is a widow, and my mom's friends are widows, and I'm like, how am I in this club?
Yeah.
How am I here? Right. And so I hate that. I hate that term widow. I hate it. That's the reality, right? I guess if you're an orphan, you would hate that term too, but that's the reality. So I think the concept, we haven't quite settled on a name, maybe like Till Death Do Us or something, but like,
oh, it's specifically for losing a spouse.
Well, I think it can be close proximity loss.
Okay.
But it really will be, just because that's my experience, right? And so it'll come from a place of that. A lot of it can absolutely be applied to a close proximity. I wouldn't say like, if you lose a friend, this is for you. But yeah, definitely close proximity.
But it's not necessarily emotional preparation. It's very practical. So, like you were mentioning, what's your connection now to his folks?
Right. So I think how it's going to lay out is 4 different weeks. So one will be like spiritual preparation. Like, number 1, like, do you know Jesus? Like, what does that look like for you? And number 2, do you know the character of God, right? If I didn't already know the character of God, I would feel abandoned and lost and not like God was near to the brokenhearted. Like, even having walked with Jesus truly for 40 years, there were moments of, this was our only option. This was it. Like, you created the world and this was our only option. So being able to kind of spiritually evaluate where you are with the Lord. What is your relationship like with him? Where are your blind spots? Where are the things that if you lost a spouse, you would feel like you'd lost the world, right? So there's a spiritual component. There is a practical week of, do you have a will? Do you have insurance? Listen, if I had to find a financial advisor in the last year, it probably would have broken me, because we had insurance. And so this large lump of money comes. I don't have use for it right now. What do I do with it? And so to be able to hand that over to someone you already trust to say, put it where it needs to go and we'll talk about it in a year. I mean, how many people have been, lost everything to a bad financial advisor? So do you already have one of those in place? Do you have a counselor that you know? If I was having to find a counselor, what a train wreck that might be too, right? Already knowing some of this stuff in the piece will make it so much easier in the middle of the chaos. So, so there's a practical, there is a relational, like, how is your relationship? If one of you died today, what would that look like? How would you process that? What are the top 3 things? Like, if I could go back, this was the one area that I would say Heath and I were super prepared, I have to say. This was one of the areas that we weren't as prepared for, but like, I would have loved to know from him, if he died, what were the top 3 things he was most worried about, right?
Oh, wow. What
are you worried about for us or for me? I've had moms say, my husband doesn't even know how to do car pickup line, right? It's not really car pickup line, but are my kids going to be okay? If I die, you don't even know they're teachers, so do car pickup line with your wife on Monday. Do the line, and how many husbands have said, if I die, my wife doesn't even know where our bank is. Know the bank, So what can you do to relationally prep? What I would do also for a voicemail from Heath right now, like, take a minute and leave a 2-minute voicemail to your spouse. Like, to hear the words, "You're doing a great job," would change my life right now. Wow. Right? I have like "so sorry about this morning, I kind of screwed up." Like, I have that voicemail. I'm going to be late tonight. Shocker. I have that voicemail. But I don't have like, "Hey, I love you and I'm grateful for you." Like, that would be a great voicemail to have. So just relationally, what can you do? And that goes along with like, what do you want my responsibility to be with your parents, right? It is I have a great relationship with Heath's family, but it is a wild thing to sit back and go, what do I do now? Like, is it my responsibility to fly my kids there? Is it your responsibility to come to us? Like, I don't. So even to have Heath go, "Hey, you're off the hook. However you want to handle this with my folks is great," and to be able to say to him, like, if just make sure my mom's computer is working, just like being able to express those. And then the last area is your community. This was the Super Bowl for our community, right? Like, these were all of our conversations. We had friends several years ago, maybe 2012, who said, if something happens to us, will you guys take our kids? They came in from Virginia. We went at Mustard Seed in Mount Pleasant and had this conversation. They laid out, down to the second. And Heath and I are like, wow, we are really unprepared for this. So we kind of got to work on some things, but we knew if something happened to one of us, they were going to be en route to us within 3 hours. Wow. We knew that. And so the night Heath died, JL called and said, "I'm pissed and I'm sad and I'll deal with that later. But do you want me in Florida or do you want me in Charleston?" And so there was no, we already knew that. We'd had those conversations. Our community knew. And also, your community needs a community outside of you, right? Our first line, we started calling them our first line. Our first line, had an allegiance to us, but they're also grieving the loss of their friend, right? So they needed people that they could talk to and say, "I can't talk to Jill about this, but I'm devastated," or "I need to process this," or there were things that they dealt with that I will never understand. And so actually at the year mark, my friends called a debrief. And I kind of sat in the corner and listened because it's not my story. But like Jeff is saying, I drive past that urgent care every day, right? And Tim is like, I'm in Kansas by myself having to walk through this. And so to have them, and then to be able to apologize to each other or say, "Thank you for what you did in this moment and you ministered to me." It was like a beautiful night of having them be able to talk about their own grief in a way that they can understand, because they couldn't talk to me about that. I didn't get it. So having your community kind of set up in a way, and they all had each other's numbers, right? I, at one point, was like, if one more person walks out of this room and takes a phone call, I'm going to lose my mind, because there was so much happening behind the scenes that I didn't know about. my AC was broken. Oh, we got that taken care of. You know, like there was just all this stuff happening that my community was doing because they already knew each other and had each other's numbers and all the things. So is your community prepared for what might lay ahead?
Mm-hmm.
So
it sounds like it's like everybody needs to have a will in place. This is like broadening that into very important matters. I think of, I'm very much so generalizing right now, but I think of the Marys and Marthas of this world. Right. And I could see the Marthas being like, ooh, sign me up for that group that's very pragmatic, need to do that. And Mary's like, I don't want to join your gothic, emo small group talking about losing my spouse.
1,000%. And I think I've discovered in all of this that it's like one spouse wants to be prepared and the other one's like, if we talk about it, it's going to happen.
Right.
But like at the end of the day, y'all, it's gonna happen, right? I hope that it's when you're 82, but it might not be. And so if you can make one of you super confident and like, yeah, just being able to, I had someone say right after Heath died, what are you most worried about? And I just said to her, I just want to like continue to raise the kids the way that we'd started. And she said, can I give you permission to do it your way? Like you don't have to change the moral compass of your family, but you now have to make decisions that work for you in your season. And so again, you know, I bought this car. Heath and I had always said we would have one less car than the number of drivers in our household, because we wanted the kids to share. We wanted them to realize they were our cars. You had to ask for permission. It wasn't a given, like all the things. And so all of a sudden, we have 3 cars and 3 drivers. I'm like, I have to sell the van. We can't. And I was like, I mean, the Lord was like, stop it. Stop it. Like, they still have to ask you because you own the vehicles, but you have got to realize you need drivers right now. Like, so you don't need to be worrying about getting this person to practice or this person to dance. Like, settle down. And so I just sat them down. I'm like, listen, we're going to keep these cars, but you have to ask me for permission. It's not a given, but I need help. I can't function the way that I would have if your dad was around. So, yeah. So, but being able to talk those things out, like to be able to say to Heath, would you be okay if we have 3 cars if you die? Like that would have been, you know, just like a confidence booster in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Not, you know.
Even hearing this, I know that it's for intimate relationship spouses, but even the like even for the Marys to think that this isn't like doomsday, I'm planning for the worst, but really the richness of being intentional with relationships.
Yes.
Because even with your friends and all of these things, it's how you're living and how you live sets you up for.
Absolutely.
So I think that there are takeaways for this specific curriculum is for married, but there are takeaways for.
That's great.
Even as you're talking, I'm thinking, what would my friends do if, you know, like if anything happens in my life, do they know each other? Does this good friend know that good friend? Do they have each other's numbers? And it really is
and to be able to talk about like your service, I think we learned this when my dad died, you know, it's always like, what were their favorite songs? And I'm like, I don't care what my dad's favorite verse was. Like, my dad's good. What is going to minister to me in this time, right? And so being able to talk about that in the moment so that you feel like there are so many like deathbed confessionals that happen, right? Like, I'll never put you in a home. Okay, let's be realistic. Like, that might not be the best thing for you, is for you to stay at home. Maybe that's not safe, but to be able to say to each other, I'm going to do the best I know how to do for you, and to trust that, right? I want to honor you in this service, but are you okay if we pick our own songs and our own speakers? Like, does it have to be what you want, you know? And like, there could be guidelines, but my kids picked our speakers. Each one of my kids picked a song. We all picked a song because it was for us, right? Yeah. It's for us to heal. And as much as you dread that funeral or celebration of life, it is your vault, your platform into healing. And so that has to be for the person that's left behind. And so if you can love your person enough to make sure that they feel set up if you were to leave, that is the greatest gift, right? So, yeah. I mean, and now, like, Heath started a spreadsheet of all of our passwords years ago. What a blessing that has been, for sure. Which, let me just say, if you lose a spouse, don't get rid of the cell phone because of 2-factor authentication. I carry Heath's cell phone everywhere because if I have to use a password and then he gets the text, right? So I'm like, oh, it's not my phone, it's on Heath's phone. You know, like, you just don't think about those things, right? Yeah. So I carry his phone everywhere. which turn it off because your kids love it when it comes up on Life 360. Heath has left the house. So, Mom, turn the phone off. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. So sorry. But yeah, so just being aware of all the things and putting yourself in a place where I just, the best thing I can give you is to know that you're confident in walking and handling our family from here on out.
Yeah. Well, we had elders at the James Island campus, and we lost Rick a couple of summers ago, and his widowed, her name's Louie, she decided she was going to take Rick's phone as her own and failed to tell other people. So she would call, and I was one of them, and I see Rick Bookforce calling, but I heard a different elder. He's like, you almost gave me a heart attack.
Yes. In fact, my daughter doesn't have a phone. And so the night that Heath died, she is texting people from his phone. And my phone is dead. Of course. And so she's texting people. And finally someone's like, can you please take the phone away from Lydia? We're all freaked out about it. So yeah, same thing.
Well, I want to give you an opportunity, and you take it however you want it, is speaking to people who are entering the holidays with heavy grief. Maybe it's their second, you know, and they want this one to be a little better than last year, or maybe it's their first, but being in their shoes, what would you want to say to them?
It's all a thoughts captive thing. And I do, if you can step out of the situation and say, on December 26th or the day after Thanksgiving, what do I want to say? What do I want to have had conveyed? What do I want to feel about the day when it's over? I feel like might be the way to do it. I don't have an answer for that. I do feel like it's deeply personal on how you handle that. And maybe it is the stuff part of me where I'm like, let's just try to be happy, and we'll deal with the rest later. But it's not just about me. As much as my grief is so different, I think that's the wild thing about grief is I'm the only one who grieves as Heath's wife.
Yeah.
Right? He only has one brother, but I'm it. She is the only one that grieves as Heath's mom, right? So there are specific grief jobs in this. And so as much as I want to be like, I'm the wife and I win this, it's not true. It's not. It's not all about me. And so being able to pull myself out of it and go, does anyone else need anything else? And that is not to say that it is your job to carry anyone else's grief. Last year I was like, I cannot drive to Florida. I'm not doing it. I cannot do it. This year I'm a little bit more open, but when Micah said, I'm not going anywhere, then that kind of gave me an out. But there were things I definitely knew I cannot do, I won't do. But then there are other things I'm like, that's not my ideal, but if someone else needs that, I can do that one. Mm-hmm. So being able to weigh what other people need without taking on their own stuff. I will say this, I heard John Deloney, Dave Ramsey, he's on Dave Ramsey, just a few months ago, and he was talking about money stuff. But he made this statement that has completely impacted the way that I've grieved. And he said, always pick guilt over resentment. You can come out of guilt, but resentment is really hard to come out of. That you may feel guilty in the moment saying, no, thank you, I don't want to make that trip. But if you don't, and you make that trip, and then you're angry at everybody around and super resentful, you've ruined relationship. You've hurt relationship. You've impacted that holiday more than you had to. And so if you can go into the holiday, into life, in grief, and go, I'm going to choose guilt over resentment. And, it is hard to tell people no. For me, it's hard to tell people no or say, I don't want to do that, or I have to draw a boundary here. Those can be difficult. But if not, the resentment is so much worse. And so I would say honor yourself in that, but also, again, it's the but and of grief. And also honoring the people that loved your person as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's like to grieve the way that my kids are. I lost my dad when I was, in my 40s, not 16 or 13 or whatever. So I don't even know what my own children are going through. Yeah. So honoring everybody else's steps without dishonoring yourself. I don't That's when we need the counselor. I don't really know how to do that, but yeah.
Well, I'm meeting you for the first time. You appear to be a very strong woman, and I want to just thank you for talking about this and for dressing the occasion too. We kind of made a little Christmas pair there.
Oh my gosh,
there
so
it's
cute.
Maroon. It's not total red, but
you have the beanie. It's so warm. Warm weather. Yeah.
All right, Jill, thank you so much.
You,
hey, how should we include something in the show notes for people to contact you if they're like, that sounds like something I'd want to
Sure, yeah, we're supposed to unroll or outroll, whatever.
Roll out?
Yes, roll out. There is roll out this program in March. So I think the plan is, in the next, we have the big marriage conference in February, and I think the plan is to roll that out right following that. So just pay attention.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You've been watching Seacoast Church's Things You Won't Hear on Sunday podcast. You can now become a patron of this podcast and receive exclusive content. Your support goes towards Seacoast ministry efforts and local presence. Also, be sure to leave us a review and subscribe to this podcast so that you get these episodes as soon as they're released. All of this information can be found in the show notes. Thanks for watching.